Hi, I'm Charli Matthews. I am with Empowering Brands. I'm the founder and CEO of all these empowering brands that we like to talk about. I am joined today with my co-host from the Empowering Industry podcast, Bethany Womack, and I'm really excited to have her here. So say hey, Bethany.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Our session is all about personal branding. It's a topic that I'm really passionate about, something that I think consumes a lot of my job and what I do. And we just want to be able to share expertise with you so that you can help and start to build your personal brand and build on your personal brand that you already have. Because whether you like it or not, whether you've been trying or not, you have a personal brand. And so now is the time to just make it even better.
Yeah, and I'll start by saying Bethany helps me develop my personal brand. So one of the things that I add is this red jacket, and I wore it today just so you could kind of think through that. And my personal brand, I loved what she said the other day. I always change my hair color, so I needed something else. It couldn't be my hair. So I stand out with this red jacket, and not to make people sad, but my personal brand was tied around that hopping around a trade show, right? So really, what does that look like in today's world? So we're going to get into that too. But first, let's talk about what is personal branding, Bethany.
So according to Influencer Marketing, which is a hub that we use for a lot of information that we get, your personal brand is really at its core just how you promote yourself. It's a unique combination of your skills that you bring to the table, your experience, your personality, and what the world sees in you. And so it's you telling your story. It reflects your conduct, your behavior, your spoken words, your unspoken words, and your attitude. It's basically everything people see about you, from your profile picture to your bios on social media to your in-person impressions and the social media posts that you make.
I think really something to point out there that you said is this about what you want people to see about you. And so there's a lot of ways that they do that, right? I just mentioned kind of that first look and what it looks like when you glance at someone, right? And so that red running across a trade show, you want people to see you want to stand out so people can say hello to you, or you can say hello to your customers once they see you, right? And so when you keep that in mind as you're building a personal brand, I think it's really important to think, okay, what are these elements? And we'll get into some of that, but what are the things that you want your audience to know about you, to think about you when they see you? I always wanted to be professional and fun. And so hopefully that's part of my personal brand. Bethany, I think that, now you've been doing this too, right? So your behavior, you're sending out your different words and comments to the Empowering Industry podcast. So you've been developing your personal brand through this journey too. So, I think, and we've talked about this before, the profile pictures being really important, but it's not just about that, right?
And like Charli said, and she was talking about me, I, in the industry, before starting the podcast with Charli and really this past year working with Charli, I kind of didn't really think that my role in companies and in the industry was being a thought leader or being in front of a camera or where people knew who I was. But I really started thinking about why it's important to have a personal brand, build your personal brand when you work in B2B. And so I really tried to outline this for our audience today, because you're all in sales and marketing, mostly in B2B companies. And the big thing in B2B and in sales, and I'm sure the people who are going to talk about sales will do a much better job at that than me, but people still, they buy from people. Even if they're buying for their company, from another company, they want to feel connected to people, to be able to, I want to go to someone that I trust, a person that I trust. Charli, who I know and I know is responsible and good at her job, I can go to her and ask her a question. And so when a thing comes up when I need to buy a product, I'm going to go to people who I trust. So it's really important in B2B, especially if you're in marketing and sales, because you want people to feel comfortable coming to you and trusting you. And it's all about becoming that thought leader in your space. Charli, I'll let you cover thought leader because that's her buzzword that she loves for 2020 that she's
I
all
don't
about.
know. I don't know. I think it's Bethany's buzzword that she's been saying and I've been jumping on. But, being a thought leader, I think it's really what we do here in the B2B and why it's important. So you touched on that, Bethany, with sales and people, it's not everything's not about sales, but when you're marketing and we're trying to drive a sale, we need to put out that thought leadership and people can come to us for a purpose. So thought leader, is going to, it sets you apart. Okay. It sets you apart for a specific topic, or again, back to what you want, what you're passionate about, what you want people to feel about you. So contributing content is definitely key. You want to write about things that are important to your brand and to establish that thought leadership.
And
And
you
then,
don't have to have like your own blog or anything to write something. LinkedIn has a really great function where you can just write an article on LinkedIn and publish it on LinkedIn, and that's where all your connections are gonna see it. It doesn't have to be something that you're overthinking. You have plenty of places that you can publish something.
right. And somebody's not going to know that you're interested in being a thought leader if you're not actively pushing out content, you're not actively, getting involved in social media or in events and being out there. So one thing that, there's lots of ways to measure whether you're a thought leader. How many mentions that you get, how many people are coming and commenting on your blog. But this part, which I thought was just really telling, and I can't remember where I got it from, but it said, if you will be a thought leader when people start calling you to come to be part of their podcast, to be, a speaker at their event. That's when you have established your brand and people are thinking of you when they are saying, okay, who do I want for this part? Who do I want to distribute this content? So you'll hear from a lot of thought leaders that have, made an impression on us. And that's what we look for, right? We look for people that we know their brand, we know what they're about, and we know that we can count on them and trust them to be to give relevant content or relevant. I guess the best way to say that is information, right? Like shared knowledge out there for these people that we're trying to inform. So that's what a thought leader is to me. And I, struggle with calling myself that for so long. But I think it's important that if you are trying to, gain this audience, gain this, sales and marketing lead, that you establish who you are, how you want to be seen, and how are you going to use those skills to educate and inform and really connect others within that space. Okay.
And just one idea that comes to mind in a normal year, since we're coming up on TPS, they have like the exhibitor stage. And so there's places where you can, sign up to speak and be a thought leader, even if you're not an engineer or not talking about technical content in sessions, but where you can get in front of people and just, it may be a couple of people there, but you got to start somewhere. And it's where you start to build that confidence in yourself and your message and what's really important to you that you want to share.
Yes. So, okay. So let's get into some tips, Bethany, on how they can improve their personal brand. So backing up from thought leadership, what if you're like, I don't even know where to start? What are some things that people can do?
Well, many of you may know me, some of you may not. I'm a photographer as well. So that's like the creative side of me and what I bring to empowering brands. And so I always tell people, start with pictures, even if it's just, well, for one, you probably need a new headshot. If you haven't updated your headshot in a while, you don't have, if you took your headshot on an iPhone, you probably need to get a new headshot that someone professionally takes. But it's even more than that. It's getting more pictures outside of just your headshot. So like we've done it with Charli and Becca and Michelle as well. And it's just like about getting pictures of you working and you doing things when you're out in the industry so that you can have those pictures, put them in a folder on your desktop. So when you need to make a post about something going on, like working hard on a deadline, you kind of have a picture that goes with it. So my number one tip is photos, photos, photos. I know it's uncomfortable. I hate being in front of a camera too, but just bite the bullet, tell yourself some encouraging words, drink some caffeine, or take a shot of something before you do it that makes you feel good, and go out and get some pictures.
Yeah, and I'll just comment on that. I can remember our first photo shoot, and it was uncomfortable because you're like, I can't think about what I'm going to use this picture for. So how should I pose? What should I do? And so I think it's, getting somebody that you trust, which for us is Bethany. And you can see from several of the panelists that we'll have today, your amazing photos that you took of them. Michelle's giving you a shout out in the chat there.
Thanks, Michelle.
It's so helpful to be able to pull from that. So like having a collection, I've taken pictures, decades ago, it feels like, that I can pull of me like looking in a pump. I feel like that is what we have to do. We have to have the mindset to go ahead and create those pictures. But having in mind like what you're about to, right? So your look, right? Are you more expressive? Are you very serious? Like think about how you want to be seen. What else do we got, Bethany?
Let me pull up my list. So after pictures, we have get comfortable using video. So it's one of the big pushes we've been talking about on the podcast in 2020 is everything is virtual right now because of the situation we're in. And video is really one of the best tools you can use to connect with people. People make a split second instant judgment of you when they see you and they look at your face and they decide if they're going to trust you or not. And so the best way to like communicate with them is via video. And I understand that that's not super comfortable for everyone, but lucky for us, some of our social media have tools that I think can really get you comfortable with the idea. And my favorite new way to do video right now is LinkedIn stories. If you open LinkedIn on your app, on your phone, which I would challenge all of you right now to open LinkedIn on your phone or at some point today. And you can do a story. You just click on your face at the top and you can take a video and say, hey, today I'm learning a lot at the Empowering Pumps Marketing and Sales Summit. But those videos, they go away in 24 hours. So you don't have to worry about it being perfect or what you're going to say. But it really gets you comfortable with the idea of like, you are good enough to be on camera. I promise you. Like you are you. People want to know you, not a perfect produced video, but you. So you can do it. And stories, I think, are a good way to start with that.
Yeah, it's a great point. Just the more that you do this, just try it out. Even if you want to record that video, and then post it, you can do that. So go ahead and just try them out. I mean, I tell you, I have taken, 15 photos, just like, anybody was getting the perfect selfie. Well, you can do that with video too. You can take it over and over and edit it, whatever you feel comfortable with. Okay. But know that that does work. We've been posting LinkedIn stories and they've only been up for like 3 weeks. We've already seen results. People actually coming to our video chats from a LinkedIn story, maybe from an Insta story, but pulling those little images and mentioning somebody, saying we care about you. That's part of our brand. And we want to see you. We want to talk to you. I know right now I'm like, I want these people all on the screen with us, Bethany. This is really difficult for me today. But that is really important to go ahead and try those videos and say, what are you comfortable with? And adjust. It's about you, and stay with that. It has to be your brand. If you're not comfortable doing it every day, don't do it every day, but go ahead and try to see what comfort level you can get there.
Yeah. And it's as easy, I keep saying easy. I know that it's not easy. It's simple. It's simple to do. It's not easy to do. It can be hard to do, but if you're a salesperson and you're used to talking to people, start your morning with a LinkedIn video and be like, today, my sales sprint for this month is to talk about this pump. I'm really excited about this pump. Send me a message, just as simple as like getting yourself on camera. And the more you do it, the more you'll get comfortable with it.
One more thing I want to add, Bethany, is just for the marketers who are on here. You may not be the person that's going to be on the camera for this. And how do you get people comfortable with taking these videos? Again, they want to know why we're doing this, right? So what is the end result that you want them to do? Come up with something that's tangible, right? We want people to attend this webinar. We want people to talk to you about, like Bethany's example, this particular product. So mention something about that. Just a quick little video. Great idea coming up with TPS coming up in December. We're doing videos for our clients. and say, this is why we want to have some type of video content that we can share to make a difference out there. And we know there are stats that show video is key right now. So,
Yeah.
okay. Anything else that we wanted to share about personal branding, Bethany?
I think we should jump into like how it interacts with events right now, moving into the last 10 minutes.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay. So we mentioned this. Profile pictures are so important. They're not the end all, but today when we're online, it's so important to have your profile pic the same across the board. Like you said, like I got my red on, I want it to be consistent. So people just see that and they, okay, that's Charli. So look for that. Look for, okay, what's your look? What's your favorite, profile pics that you want to have across the board for these events? Because you're going to start seeing people are going to start using the same platforms. We've already seen it with Hoova. Your information's already there. Your profile can be there. And I think it's really important to, get set up, know how you want to show up for these virtual events. And even the background, right? Like, even if you're, you want a different background for the virtual meetups and stuff like that, you need to think through that and see, what do you want it to look like? What do you want your brand to be consistent across the board so people recognize you?
Yeah, and I'm not saying that you need to go and if you're not using Instagram for career stuff or your business stuff, or you don't have a lot of business contacts on Instagram, you don't have to change your Instagram handle, but like definitely the ones that you interact with industry people on during events. So if you're on Twitter using the event hashtag, definitely on your LinkedIn, because that's like the end goal of connecting with people is you want them to be on your LinkedIn. And then your platform for the virtual event. You want those pictures to match. You want your bio to be similar on all of those, so that when you meet someone at TPS and you've talked to them, and then they go to LinkedIn to look for you, they're going to instantly know that's you. And that's the person that I want to connect with.
For sure. The other thing that just to mention, and we can do this here, we can practice here, right? So we have the chat function, we have the Q&A function. So interacting on these virtual events are important. Otherwise, people are just going to see their name. They're not going to know anything about what you stand for. And so you can actually use this as a resource for you today, right? How do you want to stand out? And how do you want to interact with our audience, right? The pump and equipment industries, that's who's on here today. And if you want to, send out a link and say, okay, you've got a resource, right? On marketing tips, right? Maybe we didn't cover it all today, right? And you're just like, okay, this would be a very helpful resource. Go ahead and put it in the chat. We're not mad. We're all about collaborating, right? And so I think that that's important to note, is be active on these virtual chats, ask questions. And so we want you to be asking questions all throughout the day. I want to hear from you. I want you to even be like, way to go. Good job. Make a comment on what these people are actually engaged with. It makes a difference to this. It makes a difference to the speaker. It makes a difference to your brand. If I saw somebody being positive in our chat, then I'm going to be like, I want to know more about that person. I want to make sure that I connect with them after. I mean, a lot of you I already know, but, I think that that's important, especially going to other virtual events. Anything to add, Bethany?
So the one last big thing that I wanted to hit on for virtual events is to utilize social media while you're there. So to find out the event hashtag, so WebTech hashtag WebTech Connect or whatever, and make sure that you're using that when you're posting on social media. But also the biggest takeaway is to interact with it. So clicking on the hashtag, seeing tweets that go out with it, and commenting on it. Following those people who are making those tweets, because that's where you're going to get the most benefit from it, is when you're interacting with people and not just spitting your tweet to the wind and then forgetting that we need to talk to other people. So during virtual events, biggest way to build your personal brand is to get out there and interact on social media with the event, for sure.
Yes. Okay, we've got a couple questions. So we're right on time. I'm so excited about this. So let's say, I think you can handle this one from Jennifer, actually. Can you give more information on investment costs for photos and the branding look?
Yeah, so I mean, it's really going to vary. I think to start simple, If it's you want to get holiday pictures with your family, you just find your the family photographer that you're going to use and say, hey, I want to carve out 20 minutes to do just pictures of me, and more than my headshot. And so that could be, cost really varies, but it could be, $250 and up. But then also, if you want to do like just a personal branding thing where you have a person that comes in for a couple of days that talks to you about colors to wear, like to develop your Charli red, and gets you some fonts and gets you lots of pictures, you're talking about a bigger investment there. But like, I think the big takeaway is you can start small to get pictures and just hire a photographer for an hour that can come out and help you. And then once you really got the hang of it, you're like, okay, I'm going to utilize these pictures. I need to build my brand and put in a bigger investment.
Yeah. And I actually have an investment within our company, right? That we set aside every year. We're going to take pictures of our team. This is part of our plan for marketing and branding for our business to make sure that we have those images. And it could be as simple as remembering to bring the team together to take a picture. I do have to get
Which has
better
been
at that.
hard this year. I'm just saying. I miss
for
it.
sure. For sure. Okay. Michelle asked, how do you know when your personal brand is connecting with your audience?
I've got a good idea for this. It's when you walk onto somewhere and someone that you haven't met in person says, oh my gosh, Michelle, I'm so happy to meet you in person. Not that we're going to in-person events, but it's when you really start to see them interacting with your personal brand, or they send you a piece of like a report or a piece of information that they found online that they're like, hey, this looks like something Michelle would be really interested in reading. It's like those kind of things kind of clue you in to that you're really hitting home and connecting with your audience. Charli,
okay.
Real quick, I have like a 1-minute tip that's like, here's your tip that you can leave with from the session for everyone. So my thing is to, number one, your takeaway is you're going to update your profile pictures and your bios on your platforms that you talk to customers on. Number two is you're going to commit to like 15 minutes a day where you're interacting on social media, posting something from your social brand. And number three, you're going to try LinkedIn stories and mention me, because that would make my day. So those are your 3 takeaways from this session. Please do it.